going to get tea. It's Stephanie White. She has had enough of what she has seen from the officials here today. Understandable frustration from Stephanie White.
Couple of possessions in a row where Leah Boston got the fouls. I thought the first one should have been on Howard. And then here, as Petty's in there, Hillman kind of tosses her to the side a little bit, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back there.
Game 1 of the WNBA playoffs ended in controversy after Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White was hit with a technical foul while protesting what many fans and analysts are calling inconsistent officiating. The Fever, already missing 6 key players including Caitlin Clark, battled through injuries only to see momentum shift on a string of questionable calls against them. The Atlanta Dream took advantage, securing the win, but the night ended with more conversation about referees than about the scoreboard.
Players they have. So Caitlin Clark, Khloe Bibby right there on the bench. But then you have Sophie Cunningham, Sid Colson, Arie McDonald, all actually having to sit separate from the bench. You also have Deiris Dantas.
Obviously, the injured players, they haven't been able to travel, some of them, but most of them are here now. Just how do they help kind of from a culture-wise and with, just bringing some perspective to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we miss them every day on the court. So to be able to have them we had our plane, front of our plane, normally we have empty seats. It was filled on the way here. So, I mean, they bring energy, they bring light, they bring, their vocal leaders, all of them. So to have them on this trip is huge. And I don't know how we're going to fit everyone on the bench. It's not that long. It's been packed recently. So, I'm excited to see how we figure that out, but it'll be great to have them back with us.
For context, no team in the playoffs faced a steeper climb before the opening tip. Caitlin Clark was already shut down with a groin injury. Khloe Bibby was out with a knee problem. Sophie Cunningham and Sydney Colson, both veterans with big game experience, were sidelined by their own knee issues. Arie McDonald's foot injury kept her out. And in the cruelest blow of all, Deiris Dantas was ruled out under concussion protocol less than 24 hours before Game 1. That's 6 rotation pieces gone. 6 bodies stripped away from a roster that had fought all season to survive. Yet somehow, even with that nightmare, the Fever punched first.
We got the injured reserves here with you guys, which last month, they just weren't able to travel. What does that mean to you specifically, just having them there?
Yeah, I was super excited. I think just looking at the injured squad in itself, they just have a lot of knowledge. And so for us, just being able to listen to them, taking what they see, because obviously just them watching is going to be a different view than us on that court. And so super, super happy to have them with us.
They're finally able to travel from a medical standpoint as well. So, I think having the whole group here, having those guys here gives us a little bit of a boost emotionally. And then having their perspective. I mean, you're talking about 3 point guards that are sitting on the sideline that can talk to our team in huddles, that can talk to our team, throughout the course of dead balls or when they come on and off the floor.
Early on, Indiana looked fearless. Kelsey Mitchell came out firing, hitting shots with the kind of rhythm that silences a home crowd. Aaliyah Boston owned the glass, muscling her way through double teams to snag boards and keep possessions alive. The Fever built a quick 15-6 lead, stunning the Atlanta Dream, who came in fully loaded and ready to feast. For a few precious minutes, it felt like the impossible was unfolding. That Indiana, broken roster and all, was about to shock everyone. And then the whistles started. Possession after possession, momentum flipped. Ryan Howard stumbled on her own, but the foul went on Indiana. Lexi Hull fought through a screen perfectly, only to be called for contact that never happened.
Come on, guys. My new team, the medical staff. Oh, yeah.
What the referees did, and I know why Stephanie White got a technical foul. Any coach that had to watch their team work so hard all season long, played through every single injuries, and the reason why they had so many injuries is because of these referees.
Boston absorbed an elbow to the face from Brittany Griner with no call. But seconds later, she was tagged for a routine box out. Stephanie White challenged 2 of these calls early and won them both, which only added to her fury, because it proved the officials were getting it wrong. But challenges aren't unlimited. By the second quarter, White had no more to use, and the bad calls kept piling up. Finally, after yet another sequence that defied logic, White snapped. She shouted what every Indiana fan was already yelling at their TV, and the refs gave her a technical foul. That image, White standing furious on the sideline, her players looking stunned, became the defining picture of Game 1.
Ryan Howard just falls down, but it's a foul. Like, this is ridiculous. Look at this. Kelsey Mitchell. They don't even let the Fever play defense because she's associated with Caitlin Clark. Look at this one. Another foul where nobody touched him. So they lost the timeout and they lost their challenges for the game because the referees can't do their job. Lexi Hull gets thrown out of bounds. No foul, right? Remember that play, okay? Boston, foul. But look at this. So she goes for the ball, and then they call a foul on Lexi Hull. Look at, she says, wow.
The pattern was impossible to ignore. When Atlanta played physically, refs swallowed the whistle. When Indiana so much as breathed near a Dream player, it was a foul. Mitchell brushed Ryan Howard's hip on a drive? Foul. Hull contested a shot with her hands up? Foul. Meanwhile, Howard shoved Shaw Petty to the ground with nothing called. The inconsistency bled the life out of Indiana's defense. Instead of fast breaks, they were forced to watch Atlanta shoot free throws. Instead of building on their early lead, they were constantly retreating after whistles. It felt less like a playoff game and more like a stacked deck.
The referees took it over. Look at this. Everybody saw this. Lexi Hull didn't touch her, but they had to waste their first challenge on this play. Here we go. Look at this. She gets elbowed in the face, and they call a foul on Brianna Turner. And then Lexi Hull turns around to go back on defense, but she gets charged for a foul, and they wanted to upgrade it, reviewed it. Look at this. Boston gets elbowed in the face by Brittany Griner. Do you think they called it? No. And look at this. Lexi Hull did not touch her. Didn't even touch her. And she gets free throws. Here we go. Kelsey Mitchell touched her hip lightly.
Yet the Fever refused to quit. Kelsey Mitchell put on a masterclass of resilience, dropping a playoff career-high 27 points. She shot nearly 50% from the floor, hit big threes when her team needed them, and kept attacking even when Atlanta swarmed her. She added 4 assists and even a block, playing like a star who simply refused to let her team fold. Boston battled through foul trouble to grab 12 rebounds, the kind of effort that kept Indiana within striking distance longer than they should have been. Lexi Hull chipped in 9 points and hustled through every possession, hitting one of the team's only 2 threes on the night. But for all that effort, the lack of spacing without Caitlin Clark was glaring. Atlanta packed the paint, dared Indiana's secondary scorers to shoot from deep, and the Fever went just 2 for 15 from behind the arc.
Well, Lexi, talk about the physicality of this game and knowing it's the playoff playing in such a physical game like today.
Yeah, I mean, I think we knew coming in it's playoffs, it's going to be physical, and we're going to have to learn how to play with that, especially this team is inherently a physical team. So for us, knowing that's the case and being able to respond, I think there's things that we're able to watch and film on how to handle that better, not letting the refs determine, how that physically is impacting us, but just continuing to play through that. It's definitely something we're going to have to work on and watch film and get better at, but that's part of playoffs, and that's part of the thing that we're going to have to get better at moving forward in this series.
For the first time since 2016, the Fever will host a playoff game at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Nearly a decade of waiting ends with their season on the line. Game 2 is more than just survival, it's redemption. It's a chance to prove that Indiana basketball still matters in the postseason. White has already emphasized sharper ball movement and smarter possessions. She knows Atlanta will pack the paint again, daring Indiana to hit shots. That means someone besides Mitchell must rise. Boston will do her work inside, Hull will scrap for loose balls, but a second scorer must emerge. Whether it's Brianna Turner, Tiffany Mitchell, or someone unexpected, Indiana cannot win this game without another weapon stepping up. The burden on the crowd is massive too. 17,000 fans can't guard Ryan Howard or box out Griner, but they can make every Atlanta possession harder, every Fever run louder, and every questionable whistle sting deeper. Gainbridge Fieldhouse hasn't hosted this kind of playoff atmosphere in years. Now the fans finally get their moment to remind the league that Indiana is still a basketball state, and that playoff energy here can shake the court. This is what makes Game 2 so compelling. It's not just about extending the series, it's about defining how this Fever season will be remembered. Will they be seen as the team broken by injuries and robbed by officiating? Or will they be remembered as the group that, despite everything, stood tall, defended their home floor, and forced the league to keep watching? The Fever don't have their full roster. They don't have the luxury of depth. What they do have is pride, fight, and a fan base starving for playoff relevance. And sometimes that's enough to spark something special. If Mitchell can repeat her Game 1 brilliance, if Boston can stay out of foul trouble and dominate the boards, if one more scorer can step into the spotlight, Indiana could send this series back to Atlanta tied. So here's the question every Fever fan is asking tonight. Were they beaten by the dream, or were they beaten by the referees? And more importantly, will they get the chance to answer back in front of their own crowd? Game 2 isn't just another matchup, it's the battle that will decide if this season ends as heartbreak or as the foundation for something bigger. The league is watching, the fans are waiting, and the Fever, once again, are standing at the edge of history.